Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Bulltrap here, bringing you our final quarterfinal of the IOPS OSL. And you know what? I'm gonna feel really silly when someone tells me that it's not like pronounced IOPS, that it's IOPS. Like maybe I'm pronouncing it silly by saying it as a word instead of spelling it out. But I don't know. I'm not sure how to tell, because they actually, if it was written in Korean, I could tell, just because it's a phonetic language. But it's written in English letters. So anyway, it's just easier to say IOPS. So we got the IOPS OSL here in 2005. This is the fourth and final one that I'll be casting. I'm not sure. I think this is actually the fourth series that was played too, but as a reminder, the games were played where we had all of the game 1s of the quarterfinals were on a single day, and then all of the game 2/3s of the quarterfinals were played on another day. So anyway, but this is the final one that I'm doing. I'm just casting them as series instead of casting them in that fashion. Since we're not doing this live, I have that luxury. This is a match between Goodfriend and Midas. Goodfriend is going to be the red Terran at the bottom right-hand corner of the map, and Midas is going to be the yellow Terran at the top left-hand corner of the map. Very, very far away from each other. You can see in their matchups here that Goodfriend is actually down 1-2 in their history against each other. So that's kind of interesting to know. But I do feel like, despite that, if I had to give an advantage to my players in this series, I would give it to Goodfriend, because I just feel like, these guys are both kind of around the same level, I would say. They're both not, OOV level bourgeois or whatever like that, but they're still that top tier of Terran. They're still both really high up. They're still, in 2005, some of the best Terrans out there. And so I feel like they're evenly matched, but Goodfriend has just been so strong. So strong in this Star League. I guess in the group stage, he looked really good. And, he did fairly well previously as well. So we'll see how it goes, though. So in any case, we got a little bit of differentiation in the way these two players are playing this situation. We got Goodfriend. Okay, they're both getting their barracks and gas, around the same time, basically. But Goodfriend is actually walling off. He's like making a wall at that choke. Now, if you recall from previous games, I've described this, but that choke controls 2 bases. So it's not really like a normal, choke point leading into the natural like we would see in maps of 2020. But it is one choke that controls that whole space. Now, Midas is building his barracks kind of in a weird location. This is not like a proxy or anything like that. It's not very close. What he's just done is just to build it a little bit farther out so he can actually float it towards his enemy's base quicker, because usually with the... he may actually make a couple forward Marines or something like that. We'll see. But usually you make a Marine and then you float your barracks and use it as a scouting tool rather than an actual building. So that's why we put it out there. So, but anyways, it's interesting because we do have SCV scouts coming in as well. SCV comes in and scouts the factory, so Goodfriend's going to see what's going on there. He doesn't see the barracks, but he probably knows what's going on. He doesn't see 2 factories, and that's the important thing. Now, are we going to see, after these factories finish, we're going to see what's going to happen between these 2. Okay, there's the second factory, and I believe the SCV is still alive. So Goodfriend scouts the second factory. He knows exactly what's going on. He's actually going to escape with that SCV. So what is Goodfriend? Now, Goodfriend is a little bit behind on his factory. Not exactly sure why. There's a starport going down instead of a second factory. So a little bit of a mix-up, a mix of builds, I should say, not a mix-up. And this might be why we saw Goodfriend go for this wall off at his natural, at the choke point. He might be thinking, okay, well, if my opponent's gonna have more ground units, I might need to blockade. If they're getting like fast vultures or something, I need something to block with. Because he's planning on going for the starport. So I wonder if Midas is gonna realize that maybe. And figured out, uh-oh, barracks is up. The blockade is down, but it's not quite at the right timing for the SCV to get in and get a scout So Midas is not going to know what's going on at all. He's going to be producing a fair amount of units. An armory going down as well, actually. So the starport going down, we don't know if it's wraiths. I'm thinking, you know, adding wraiths in makes a lot of sense. But we'll see what's going on. Actually, he's building control tower. So it could be cloaked wraiths. Could be going for a drop, actually. And I feel like if he goes for a dropship, he's going to be way behind on army supply because, I mean, like, if your opponent has 2 factories and you're only producing units out of 1 factory that can attack things, how do you survive? You know they're going to attack you. And this is the thing, Midas already has an armory, so if it's wraiths, Midas will be able to counter it because he's going to be producing Goliaths. He's making an academy as well, so even if it's cloaked wraiths, Midas is already on top of this. This is a catastrophic build order loss in the making for Goodfriend. And, oh, look at that! They're actually, the slopes are like right behind the crowd of people watching. I didn't realize it was like that close. That's kind of crazy. Goodfriend, okay, he's made a dropship. I don't know if you guys know this, but dropships can't attack. They cannot attack. He's literally have 2 tanks inside the dropship. Meanwhile, Midas is running across the map with less tanks, but all of the forces of Goodfriend are now heading across the map, and we're having 2 Goliaths, a tank, and a Marine coming in here, and he's going after that depot. This is why he's got a blockade there. Otherwise, he would run in there. The reinforcing Goliaths are going to catch the dropship. If he kills that dropship, it will be the end of the game immediately, but he is able to get past there. But what's he going to do with 2 tanks and a dropship? Oh, he's got siege mode, and he is actually going to hold the line. He's holding the line. There's the high ground, the ridge. I didn't even realize you could do that. He sieges up. Oh my gosh, this is actually brilliant by Goodfriend. I mean, he's pulling it off by the skin of his teeth, but he's actually in such a great spot. He's actually got tanks on the high ground. 50% mischance to fire up at those tanks. Can 2 tanks, but he doesn't have an SCV to repair anything though, so can those actually do enough damage? So far he's just hitting buildings. He's killed 1 Goliath, but this is the crucial thing. Midas doesn't have siege mode, so he can't push the attack, and he's forced to bring all of his forces all the way back home to deal with this. The dropship is still running around scouting, by the way, but it's at low hit points, so it may die soon to a couple more Goliath shots. Here he comes in. He's going to try and clear this off. 1 Goliath pops immediately, and another one is going to go down very soon. Look at this. Oh, he pops 2 more Goliaths. The mischance is so strong. Everything attacking uphill. 2 tanks taking on 4 Goliaths, a tank and a Marine, and winning because they're immune to half of the damage. Absolutely crazy. And he survives both tanks with such low hit points as well, which means a little bit of a lack of target firing by Midas. He could have easily taken them out, I think, if he target fired one and then the other. Instead, he just kind of attack moved that location. So a bit of a misplay there. He has his own starport, though. Wow, look at that. This machine shop has gone down for Midas, so he can't produce tanks anymore for now. But he's actually good. Okay, Midas is getting raced to deal with the high ground tanks, but Goodfriend is actually getting cloaked raids as well. Now Midas is prepared for this. He already has the comset station, I think. So here we go. The Wraith is out. It's going to kill off the dropship. It's going to kill off these tanks. Yeah, I mean, the SCV's there. He's like, I want to repair it, but you're too high up. I can't get to you. He's going to run straight in with his tanks, though, right into the natural, and he's actually going to bait the SCVs into the tank fire, but the tank fire is no more from the high ground. Now, here's the thing, is that Wraiths can kill stuff with impunity on the ground that can't fire upwards, but very, very slowly. And so these tanks are going to do some serious damage while they're slowly picked off by this one Wraith, soon to be 2, but they've already taken out 4, 5, maybe 6 SCVs on the ground, and Goodfriend is still moving in for the attack. And whoa, hold that thought, because we didn't see what happened. It looks like the Wraiths died. I think what happened is that Goodfriend's Wraith arrived on the scene and they traded. They both fired simultaneously and traded off against each other. The SCV's coming off the line to deal with these tanks. He's trying to do a massive attack with just SCVs, which is not very effective at all. A little bit perplexed by this. I guess, okay, so he's actually using those SCVs as a wall to get in the way so his own tank can get some shots in. But now the SCVs have retreated. The tank is forced to retreat as well, and it goes down to the focus fire of 5 tanks versus 1. One Wraith is just not enough to kill the units fast enough, and now Goodfriend's cloaked Wraiths are coming in to deal with the enemy Wraiths. The scan goes off, but it's in a bad spot, and he can actually fall back. No, he doesn't fall back in time, and he loses his Wraith. But in the meantime, Goodfriend is losing I'm sorry, killing every single one of Midas's SCVs. He's gonna kill the Comset station as well. Okay, somehow Midas snuck in an expansion during this, and I didn't see that happen, which is kind of crazy that he actually had the funds and ability to do that. So he is still mining. He hasn't lost every SCV like I thought he did, and actually the Wraiths cleaned things up. So I thought he was dead there. He may still be dead in the long run, but I thought he was about to lose the game, just straight up, because Goodfriend had an answer for everything. He was killing SCVs with the tanks. He had his cloaked Wraiths to deal with the enemy Wraiths, and Midas just didn't seem to have an answer that was satisfactory to the questions that were being asked by the forces of Goodfriend. But Goodfriend is fallen back a little bit, or he's ceased the attack. The Wraiths were too much. He couldn't quite break the Wraith advantage, and he stopped rallying tanks across the map. And so Midas has a moment to catch up here. Currently not mining any gas though, which is interesting. He doesn't build a refinery in his expansion yet, and we saw him not mining with the SCVs in his main yet. So Goodfriend, the only one building gas units at the moment, but there's a little bit of a Wraith versus Wraith battle. Goodfriend with the extra Wraith comes out ahead. It's going to polish off that scouting barracks as well that we talked about earlier. It's been getting a lot of work done, chilling in the region of Goodfriend's base, seeing what's going on. Still not mining any gas at the second base for Midas. I mean, the Terran units that are important are the gas units, right? The tanks, the Goliaths, the Wraiths, the dropships. So a little bit interested that he's not doing that. I mean, when you're behind on minerals, you sometimes need to forego the gas just to make sure you've got enough minerals. You need to be able to have enough minerals coming in that you can produce your units and keep producing SCVs. But that being said, now he has resumed mining at the main base, producing Goliaths as well. Goodfriend we saw making a second starport earlier, so he's definitely going bullish on the air. And an expansion, a third base, going down for Goodfriend too. So I think this is an okay position for Midas to come back from, actually. If he plays this right, with Goodfriend, our red Terran player, focusing entirely on the Wraiths. Oh, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The Goliaths are just such a better chance against them. And he should have two comset stations right now too, so he's going to be on top of the cloaking pretty well. I don't think he can quite have enough cloaking energy to outlast the two comset stations. Unless maybe he send in one Wraith at a time and they died or something like that. Oh, hold that thought. He's going to try and come in here. He does snipe the dropship, which is very important actually. Goodfriend is setting up siege outside of the choke point for Midas. And so it's very important because the way that you break a siege, if you're behind, which it looks like Midas does have less units here, and not just the Wraiths, but the less ground units at the moment, less tanks rather. The way you break a siege is by drop shipping. Not drop shipping like the economic practice, but I mean like you send in your drop ships and you can drop Goliaths on top of their tanks or other tanks, and that's how you break a siege, right? These Wraiths are doing work. Up to 4 Wraiths now, and they are picking off tons of SCVs over here actually. And I think, well, he's not running his SCVs away, he's just letting them die, so that's a good tactic. Here he's going to come in here with the dropship, the next dropship, dropping off Goliaths. I think the enemy tanks were in a place where it was too dangerous for the Goliaths to walk around and defend that. And I think that may have been why he didn't run the SCVs as well, because they would have run through enemy tank fire. And is he going to get another dropship? The Goliaths are going to work on them, and they all perish. But mission accomplished. It was a suicide mission, but it did finish the killing of that dropship. So again, Goodfriend, very cool tactical move here, using the Wraiths to shut down the dropships to keep his contained with the siege mode while he expands. So just absolutely brilliant play here by Goodfriend. Very nicely done. And now actually, this is cool. Goodfriend is actually pushed in far enough that he is able to shell the gas at the expansion. So not only he killed the SCVs, but now he's actually killing the gas as well. So the few SCVs that are left can't even mine the gas there. And like we have discussed in the past, in the distant age of ancient history, we were talking about how gas units are the important ones in Terran versus Terran. And so shutting off that second gas mine is pretty important. I'm actually a little surprised we haven't seen some vultures. Maybe we will. Hold that thought. I've been saying that a lot lately, hold that thought. But he's actually running with SCVs while he's dropping Goliaths and not being very effective with either, actually. Didn't even... Okay, he's dropping some Goliaths down here at the south as well. There's too many tanks, too many spots to drop on. Midas cannot break the contain. Loses so many SCVs. How many? So many. So many SCVs in the process of the last-ditch attempt to break that contain. Imagine if that was 3 dropships instead of 1. Imagine if that was 3 dropships instead of 1 going out for that siege break, right? That would have been a very different story. He might have been able to break that siege and counterattack, or at least maintain some sort of ability to stay in the game. So Goodfriend picking off those dropships turned out to be very effective in general in securing him the win. So very nicely done. Goodfriend just looking very solid, and you know, it looked really dicey at the beginning there when he was coming in for that first attack, and there was like nothing there, and he just had a depot. I guess I've missed it. I'm trying to find it. This is after it. He just had that depot to block, and you know, that's why he built that wall with the depot in the barracks. It actually worked. He was able to hold off long enough that he got siege mode up and was able to keep the. See, look at this. If there's no blockade here, and he doesn't bring out SCVs to repair the blockade, then Midas gets in, and while those tanks are sieged up on the high ground, it doesn't matter because look at that. Look how close it was, down to like 200 hit points or something like that. Siege mode goes up. There you go. So if that didn't happen, Goodfriend would have lost the game. So just absolutely well choreographed game here by Goodfriend. Very nicely done. So he's gonna go up 1-0. You know, I said that I thought he was looking strong, and he's proven it in this game, looking very strong indeed. But Midas, it's not out yet. He can still bring it back. We'll see in game 2 if he can bring it to a tie, so he can bring it to a game 3 and attempt to go on to the semifinals himself. Thanks for watching. GG.